Carroll O'Connor truly couldn't stand him. No one else even came close. Long before the fame and the spotlight, Carroll O'Connor was born John Carroll O'Connor on August 2, 1924, in the rough-and-tumble Bronx, New York. Raised in a proud Irish-American household, his family was big on education, sharp storytelling, and old-school tradition, even when money was tight and life hit hard during the Great Depression. Those early struggles flipped a switch in him. They gave him a deep, street-smart understanding of class tension, frustration, and how differently people see the world depending on where they stand. That edge later exploded through his acting in ways audiences couldn't ignore. O'Connor took the academic route first, studying at Wake Forest University and later the University of Montana, before World War II pulled him into the United States Merchant Marine. That chapter toughened him up fast, throwing him into real-world chaos that taught discipline, survival, and how messy human nature can get. After the war, he snapped back to school, earning a degree in English and soaking up literature, language, and raw human emotion. He even tried teaching, but acting kept calling his name louder and louder. By the 1950s, he packed up and crossed the ocean to Ireland, studying at University College Dublin, chasing something bigger, and that fire never cooled down. Love Hollywood stories? Subscribe now so you don't miss any new videos. It's free, and it really supports the channel. That stretch overseas lit a serious fire in Carroll O'Connor. Being surrounded by European theater gave him a raw, hands-on respect for performance, not just fame or applause. He hit the stage hard, grinding through live productions, tightening his skills, and learning how to command a room without hiding behind edits or camera tricks. This wasn't glamour. It was training for a long, unforgiving road. By the time he came back to the United States, O'Connor was locked in and hungry. Throughout the 1960s, he worked non-stop, stacking guest appearances on television and grabbing any solid film role he could get. He popped up in major projects like Cleopatra, What Did You Do in the War, Daddy, and Point Blank, showing he could flip from intense drama to sharp humor without missing a beat. Still, none of that fully cracked the door open. It wasn't until the early 1970s that lightning finally struck. O'Connor landed the role that would cement his name forever: Archie Bunker on All in the Family. From 1971 to 1979, he brought to life a blunt, working-class guy from Queens who carried the anger, confusion, and deep-rooted beliefs of a changing America. Most actors would have dodged a role that risky, but not him. O'Connor leaned in, adding layers, flaws, and uncomfortable honesty. He made Archie more than noise. He turned him into a living reflection of America, wrestling with race, politics, gender roles, and cultural shifts that nobody could ignore. People didn't have to agree with Archie Bunker to get him. Viewers saw pieces of their neighbors, relatives, even themselves in him, and that's why they laughed with him just as much as they laughed at him. All in the Family didn't just entertain. It smashed television rules wide open. It tackled racism, women's rights, the Vietnam War, and money struggles head-on, topics most primetime shows were too scared to touch back then. That boldness paid off big time. Carroll O'Connor racked up 4 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, locking his name into TV history forever. When the original run ended, he kept the momentum going by stepping back into Archie's shoes for Archie Bunker's place, running from 1979 to 1983 and stretching the character's impact even further. But O'Connor refused to stay boxed in. In the late 80s and 90s, he shocked audiences again by reinventing himself as Chief Bill Gillespie on In the Heat of the Night. This time, he played a thoughtful, evolving lawman in a small Mississippi town, a man learning and changing as racial tension and crime tested him at every turn. Behind the scenes, O'Connor was just as powerful. He served as a producer and writer on the show, proving his talent went way beyond acting. His sharp instincts and leadership helped turn In the Heat of the Night into a long-running hit, showing the industry he wasn't just a performer, he was a force. And here's where things quietly turn darker. Years earlier, back in 1962, while working in Rome on the massive film Cleopatra, a production infamous for wild spending and chaos, a moment unfolded that would later spark serious tension. And that story is just getting started. While cameras rolled non-stop and pressure mounted on the chaotic set of Cleopatra, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, Carroll O'Connor and his wife, Nancy Fields O'Connor, made a move that had nothing to do with Hollywood and everything to do with the heart. They adopted a 6-day-old baby boy and named him Hugh, a name loaded with meaning and emotion, chosen to honor O'Connor's brother who had passed away just a year earlier. That choice hit deep. It wasn't about headlines or image. It was about love, memory, and building family in the middle of pure chaos. While massive sets rose and budgets exploded overseas, O'Connor stayed grounded in what mattered most, bringing a child into a safe, caring home and keeping the memory of his brother alive through his son's name. As Hugh grew older, he naturally saw the world his father lived in every day. At 17, he stepped onto the set of Archie Bunker's Place, not as a star, but as a courier, a simple behind-the-scenes role that taught responsibility and respect for the grind. It wasn't flashy, but it was real work, and it put him right inside the world that had shaped his father's legendary career. For O'Connor, already a television giant by then, it was about more than pride. It was about showing his son how sets run, how people earn their place, and how discipline matters just as much as talent. Later on, that bond went even deeper when O'Connor created the character Officer Lonnie Jameson on In the Heat of the Night, specifically for Hugh, a move rooted not in shortcuts, but in trust, belief, and a father opening the door while still expecting the work to be done. For Carroll O'Connor, giving his son that role wasn't about favors or shortcuts. It was about protection and guidance. He wanted Hugh to have room to grow, create, and learn the business with a father who knew every trap and pressure the industry could throw at you. It showed how deeply O'Connor blended fatherhood with mentorship, standing close while still letting his son find his own voice. Then everything shattered. On March 28, 1995, Hugh died by suicide after a long, painful struggle with drug addiction. The loss hit O'Connor like nothing else ever had. Losing a child leaves a wound that never truly heals, and for him, the grief followed him everywhere, on set, off set, and into the public eye. Instead of shutting down, O'Connor did something powerful. He turned raw pain into purpose. He began speaking out, using his voice and visibility to warn others about addiction and its very real consequences. He appeared in public service campaigns for Partnership for a Drug-Free America, putting his personal story front and center to make sure families understood what was at stake. From that point on, he never stayed silent. O'Connor openly talked about his son's struggles, pushing for awareness, compassion, and early intervention. He wanted people to see addiction as a human battle, not a weakness, and to seek help before it was too late. That mission stayed with him for the rest of his life. Through advocacy and honesty, he reshaped his legacy, not just as a television icon, but as a father who faced unimaginable loss and still stood up to protect others from the same pain. Carroll O'Connor, the man who made Archie Bunker unforgettable on All in the Family, was never shy when it came to calling people out. If he didn't like you, he didn't sugarcoat it. And his feelings toward Rob Reiner, who played his on-screen son Michael Meathead Stivic, were explosive and impossible to ignore. O'Connor openly admitted his hatred, once saying, "I've never hated anyone as much as I hated Rob Reiner." That wasn't a throwaway line or some heat-of-the-moment drama. This was a deep, long-burning resentment that stuck with him for years and seriously affected how he experienced working on the show. This wasn't your average TV set tension either. Their clash went way past creative differences and straight into personal territory. O'Connor felt their personalities, egos, and work styles were oil and water, and he believed Reiner constantly chipped away at the teamwork that was supposed to hold the cast together. According to O'Connor, Reiner's attitude was a big part of the problem. He once explained that Rob always thought he was smarter than everyone else, acting like he had the moral edge just because he played the liberal son. O'Connor, fiercely proud of his craft and deeply protective of Archie Bunker, took that as a direct slap to his professionalism. It wasn't just about line delivery or performance choices. O'Connor said it was the superiority Reiner carried onto the set, the quiet judgment, the constant pushback on how Archie should be portrayed. He labeled Reiner arrogant and insufferable, insisting the behavior felt intentional, provocative, and flat-out disrespectful, far beyond what anyone would call normal artistic tension. To Carroll O'Connor, Rob Reiner wasn't just annoying, he was a threat to the entire vibe of the set. O'Connor believed Reiner constantly questioned his professionalism and disrupted the rhythm between cast and crew, creating a tension everyone could feel the second the cameras stopped rolling. What made it worse was how personal it felt. While other actors built real bonds, trading jokes and backing each other through long days, O'Connor said that never happened here. He once recalled, "There was never a moment when I felt like Rob was my friend," adding that Reiner always seemed to be proving something, always chasing attention in ways O'Connor found draining and unnecessary. That constant energy left O'Connor feeling boxed in. He wasn't just defending Archie Bunker anymore. He felt like he had to defend his own worth as an actor day after day against what he saw as Reiner's silent challenges. According to O'Connor, their on-set exchanges were tense, awkward, and sometimes openly hostile. Long shooting hours only made it worse, with creative disagreements turning into personal standoffs that never fully cooled down. But this wasn't just about clashing personalities. It was a battle of beliefs and approach. O'Connor saw Archie as layered and complicated, a character that needed balance and restraint. Reiner's style, he felt, leaned too hard into satire and ideology, flattening the father-son dynamic into a non-stop lecture. O'Connor once summed it up bluntly, saying, "It wasn't about acting. It was about him trying to teach me a lesson every day about liberal versus conservative. Right versus wrong. I'm an actor, not a preacher." That line summed up the storm perfectly. For Carroll O'Connor, the ideological clash with Rob Reiner made every shared scene feel like a tightrope walk. O'Connor felt he was constantly steering around Reiner's impulses while fighting to stay loyal to the core of Archie Bunker. Even with all that tension boiling under the surface, O'Connor kept it professional. As much as he disliked Reiner on a personal level, he never let it blow up on camera. Instead, he channeled that frustration straight into the performance, letting the discomfort sharpen the realism rather than wreck it. Ironically, that hostility may have fueled the electric chemistry audiences couldn't get enough of. The back and forth between Archie and Michael felt raw, real, and explosive, and that wasn't by accident. While O'Connor would have brushed this off as a weak consolation, the friction helped turn their scenes into television gold. Still, his opinion never softened. Right up until the end of his life, O'Connor held firm, saying, "I've worked with many people I couldn't stand, but Rob topped them all, more than anyone." That wasn't nostalgia talking, that was conviction. In the end, O'Connor's hatred of Reiner revealed the complicated man behind the legend. He was passionate, fiercely protective of his craft, and totally unwilling to fake harmony when he felt disrespected. While the public saw the gruff, sometimes lovable Archie Bunker on All in the Family, the reality behind the scenes was far more intense. Their strained relationship is proof that iconic on-screen partnerships can hide real-life conflict just as dramatic as anything scripted. The laughter may have been real, but so was the tension simmering just out of sight. Carroll O'Connor passed away at the age of 76 on June 21, 2001, and the loss hit Hollywood hard. He died in Culver City, California, a place deeply woven into the fabric of the entertainment industry and into the later chapters of his own career. The immediate cause was a heart attack, brought on after years of battling diabetes, a condition that quietly wore down his body long before the final moment. Diabetes is ruthless, especially to the heart, and over time it likely left O'Connor dangerously vulnerable. His death didn't just close a life, it closed a chapter in American television history. He had been a towering presence, using sharp humor and fearless honesty to bring Archie Bunker to life on All in the Family. That character became more than entertainment. It became a mirror reflecting the frustrations, contradictions, and realities of working-class America. After his passing, O'Connor was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery, a final home reserved for Hollywood legends. The choice spoke volumes about the respect he earned and the weight his career carried among peers who truly understood his impact. But the most emotional detail lies in stone. In a deeply personal tribute, the name of his son Hugh was engraved on O'Connor's gravestone. It wasn't symbolic, it was personal, raw, and intentional. Hugh had been central to O'Connor's life, adopted during a defining period and loved fiercely through joy and unimaginable pain. That gravestone tells two stories at once. One of a television giant whose work changed the medium, and another of a father whose devotion to his family never faded. Marked by legacy and loss, it stands as a powerful reminder that behind the unforgettable character was a man who loved deeply, fought passionately, and carried his family with him to the very end.